Hey, what's going on, Dating Tribe? Coach Nate here. And today I wanted to talk about something extremely powerful, and it's a tool that you already have inside you. You just got to learn how to unlock it. And what that is learning from your past relationships to enhance your future ones. So, gonna dive deep and figure out how to use what you learned from those relationships so that your future ones are so much better. Let's dig in. So, number one, big thing is I want you to actually think about your last 1 to 2 relationships in depth. And what does that mean? Well, I want you to really think about why they truly ended. On the surface, people can say things like, well, it just didn't work out, she was a jerk, I don't know, she was mean all the time, she cheated on me. Yes, those are reasons it ended, but those are surface level reasons. What I'm asking you to do is more meditate on why they really ended. Maybe she was too needy, maybe she was too selfish, maybe you were too selfish, something like that, maybe you weren't negotiable on enough of the life issues in the relationship and it just had to end. I don't know, there's a million different reasons, but I want you to identify and come to terms with more the underlying things of why the relationship ended. And with that, also what you could have done better in that relationship. So no matter what, it was on track to end, right? That's why it did end. And we want to be okay with that. The relationship is properly mourned. You're over her, as much as humanly possible or whatever. But I still want you to think about what you could have done better. So in the relationship that I was in before my marriage, so last girlfriend, lived with her, stuff like that, I was extremely selfish. I didn't really help out with the bills, if you will, help out cleaning the house, if you will, stuff like that. I'm not saying it's the end-all be-all, but when I think back on that relationship, I definitely could have treated her a lot better. I could have been more negotiable in a lot of really important areas of the relationship, and definitely not been so cringe. Now, give me a little grace, I was a lot younger then, but it's still something that could have really helped the relationship go smoother on the day-to-day. And I can identify that and be okay with that. And now that I've learned from that, I don't act that way in my current relationship or in my marriage, right? One piece of that is, did you enjoy her as a person? Or did you maybe choose her for surface level stuff, like maybe looks or how much money she made or something like that, right? It's been my experience that a lot of those surface level things aren't too important when it comes to a long-term relationship, which I'm here to help you get. So it's something to be mindful of. Where if you didn't truly enjoy her as a person, then that relationship probably went on too long. You maybe, I'll reference that relationship that I was in again. We looked really good on paper. Neither of us had kids. She had a good job, I had a good job. She already had a house, so it was easy to move in and out, right? Stuff like that. And we got along day to day fairly well, actually. So we were good on paper. Where we didn't line up, though, was the emotional stuff. Handling of money. Talking about our feelings, and communication. Huge stuff, right? So really, I lingered in that relationship far too long because I was too insecure to leave. I was insecure enough that I didn't want to be alone. So you see what I'm saying here? Truly identifying what kind of happened and your own emotional reactions to things that happened in the relationship. And part of that, which I've referenced a little bit, but with that prior relationship, did you identify with the big life things that are really important? So in one of my other videos, I covered that it's not really too important that common interests line up all that much. What am I talking here? things like interest in music, movies, TV shows. Is somebody outdoorsy and the other person wants to stay in? Now, some of that can be really fun if you align on it. Like if you and your girlfriend happen to share the same hobby and you can do it together and be really happy about it, that's really cool. But it's far from the end-all be-all. What's really the end-all be-all in a marriage is you align on the big things that people typically get divorced over. And what do those look like? Money, child rearing, political and religious issues, right? All really mashed into one. And when you align on those big things, the rest of your life kind of flows better. And I'll use myself as an example again. Now, me and my wife have been married for almost 6 years, excuse me. And we really don't have a lot of common interests. She likes old movies. I like newer movies with explosions. She likes more romantic type movies where I'm more into action. She listens to gentle music like jazz and contemporary Christian, something like that, where I'm more into hard rock and I'm actually really eclectic and all over the place. On that stuff, we don't really line up that well. And when we're sitting home alone at night, we really have to compromise on what to watch, and it works out okay. But the big thing is that we happen to align really well on the big life stuff. What to do with our money, how to handle it. If we have kids, how to take care of them. Religious and political views, we're right there with each other. A little bit of difference sometimes, but we line up really well and agree with each other. I actually couldn't imagine if we didn't line up those big things, how we could be really happy with each other, right? So, again, you want to look back at those relationships, kind of really think through that. Quiet your mind. Really think through that to the true reason that maybe you ended or why you weren't happy in that place. And then we'll go on to the next part. So what's cool now is now that we've thought all the way through that, why it ended, how we were feeling emotionally, all that stuff can teach us what to do forward, right? When we're a little kid, if we, touch a hot stove and it burns us, we'll probably never do that again. Why? Because instinctually we will learn from the past. Now I know that's a very crude and simple analogy, but we can use that in the more abstract concept that is dating and relationships, right? So if you've had a couple semi-serious relationships within the last few years, that should help you nail down what you really want out of a future partner. So with the partner that I had before I was married, she was kind of a lot like me. She was independent, she was outgoing, she was competitive. All really good qualities in a person. But from that, I found that, especially because we didn't align on that emotional stuff, I found that I actually want somebody that's kind of the opposite of that stuff. I actually want somebody that's a little needy, not overly, but a little needy and wants to hang out with me every day or on the regular. Is maybe quieter and more submissive, just in nature, more negotiable, if you will, less dominant. And maybe just what I would say is just a lot more depth. Now, I'm not saying my last partner didn't have depth. Right? Not trying to insult here, nothing like that. But it did teach me what I wanted out of my future relationship. Now, here's a really cool concept. If you've been burned before, and what I mean by that is if you think through those prior relationships and they really were in the wrong, even though you were nice the whole time, you weren't too needy, you weren't doing anything bad, and they just selfishly got sick of you one day after a few months and went out and cheated on you or whatever. There should be some vibrational and emotional things you probably picked up on in the relationship before she went out and started doing that. Maybe she wanted to hide her phone from you all the time and didn't want you going through it. All sorts of stuff, right? Maybe you guys had too many money fights, and now you should realize that maybe you're a saver and you don't want to go out with somebody that doesn't see the value in saving money for your future or your retirement or paying cash for something big like a car if you can help it. That way you don't have some monster car payment every month, right? So again, if you were burned by somebody in the past, now you have the tools in your mind to identify red flags that can totally come up in future relationships. What's really nice here is, so let's say you attract somebody that seems pretty cool at first, you're going out for like 3 weeks, but you find out that they don't align with you, like on something politically, right? So it starts to give you kind of a feeling. You can't really identify it or speak to it, but you're like, oh, I'm starting to not see a future with this person. And then, let's say, especially if you guys identified as an item or like kind of a boyfriend, girlfriend, and you do glance at her phone and you realize that she's been talking to 2 other guys while she's going out with you, probably a red flag. And at that point, what I want you to do is like yourself enough to go ahead and let that relationship go. You know, you already had the vibration that you're probably not going to marry this person. And what you don't want to do is take that relationship, escalate it, and then waste 1 to 2 years of your life. And then, maybe you accidentally have kids with this person. Now you're really going to have to deal with them for the rest of your life. Something like that. Kids are a blessing. Not going to take that away. But I have enough friends who have enough kids with people that they shouldn't have had kids with, that their life was a lot tougher, not having a solid partner in their court to help them take care of it. It seems like common sense to speak to it here on the objective level, the hindsight is 20/20, totally understandable. But what I find is that people don't seem to think through who they choose for big decisions as a life partner. It's almost like they give way more thought to going out and buying a car than who they put a ring on. And I'm not here to make you feel bad. If you're a divorced person, or if you went through a few bad relationships and now you're here watching this, I don't want you to feel bad at all. I've made plenty of stupid, bad, decisions in my dating life prior to doing this and prior to getting married. And some of them I still do regret on like a really deep emotional level. But the bigger thing is that from those mistakes I learned them. So like, let's say I treated a woman poorly in my past. Well, I learned from that, learned that that was not the way to do it. And now I don't treat my wife that way. So again, it sounds very simple, but it is something I want you to truly think through so that when you go to, date somebody seriously, when you go to escalate a relationship from maybe casual dating to serious level, it's a tool in the toolbox for you. So guys, thanks again for watching. My name is Nate. I'm a dating coach for men. I operate a business entirely all online via video chat, just like this, here in this magical office of mine. You can visit me at pattersoncoachingwny.com. You can email me, very simple, pattersoncoachingwny@gmail.com. And if you're interested in working with me one-on-one so that we can dive deep through issues like this, help you learn from them, and then propel you in a trajectory that will give you a long-term, awesome, happy relationship, that's what I'm here to do. If you're one of those guys that, maybe your late 20s, early 30s, your friends around you are totally getting married and they're really happy with their wives and kids, and you're kind of left in the dust on that, I can identify with that. I was there a little bit not long ago, and I want to help you get to your goals in your dating relationships. And just, again, thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe. We'll see you in the next one.